Yeah.
So take care of yourself and love yourself is a type of love as well.
Wow.
It's hard to go through life, you know, when you're very critical on yourself and where you're when you don't give yourself the love that I think you're entitled to. Yeah.
Wow.
Yes, sir. Because I think everyone deserves it.
Wow.
There's always time for introspection, and there's always time for you to, you know, it's always wise and always good to be critical of things that you might work on or be able to improve on.
Wow.
But love yourself, you know, that's important
That's good.
too.
Are you a freshman?
I'm a junior, sir, but
So what's your advice for the freshmen?
I'm always a freshman, you know.
Advice for the freshmen on campus.
For the freshmen,
Yeah.
time will fly by, I'd say. Time does go by really quickly. You'll one day
How you doing today, boss?
I'm doing all right today, sir.
Pretty good. Happy Valentine's Day.
Happy Valentine's Day to you.
So today is February 14, right?
Yes, sir.
So what does that mean to you?
Well, it means a lot of things, sir. Valentine's Day is one of those days that's really romantic to most people.
Okay.
And so this morning, I think we all have a sort of special person every now and then.
Okay.
Right now, I woke up and I decided I'd write her a little email.
Okay.
And a little something like that, make a little card.
Okay.
But it's also a time, I think, just for you to be able to remember the people that you do love and you do care about.
Yeah.
So like, for instance, later today I'll be calling my mom and just saying, hey, thanks for bringing me up and everything. And you know, the more chances you thank your mom, I think the more happy a life she'll live.
I'm gonna call my mom right now.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I kinda forgot.
I recommend it. I mean, honestly, of all the people in your life, you would literally not be here without your mother.
Your mother, yeah.
And you also, you wouldn't have learned a few of the lessons. And I think as her first child, I think my mom definitely instilled a lot of what she had to teach in me. And she learned a lot of things with me. And now my mother, she's got so many little boys running around, all my little brothers. So I'm also thinking of them too today. And and my father and my family just everywhere. I'm thinking of them too.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, there's lots of types of love, but love is always love, you know.
Yeah. One quick last question. What's your advice for someone who is single? What to do, on the Valentine's Day?
Let's see. Well, I'm not really too good at advice, but I'd say from experience, you know, ultimately, you'll never know where life's going to take you. You know, you don't know where you'll wind up, and sometimes you may not have right then and there in life, or maybe you don't want at a certain time, a person to give and express your life with, right?
Okay. Yeah.
But at the same time, like I was saying earlier, Valentine's Day doesn't just have to be exclusive to those people who are romantically bound. It's a day of remembering what love is, I think, and the many types of love there are. And I'd say, you know, first off, if you're single, you know, it's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing at all. For once, you know, you have unlimited opportunities. Yes, sir. Self-care, that's right.
Yeah.
So take care of yourself and love yourself is a type of love as well. It's hard to go through life, you know, when you're very critical on yourself and where you're when you don't give yourself the love that I think you're entitled to. Yeah.
Wow.
Yes, sir. Because I think everyone deserves it.
Wow.
There's always time for introspection, and there's always time for you to, you know, it's always wise and always always good to be critical of things that you might work on or be able to improve on.
Wow.
But love yourself, that's important
That's good.
too.
Are you a freshman?
I'm a junior, sir. But
what's your advice for the freshmen?
I'm always a freshman,
Advice for the freshmen on campus.
For the freshmen?
Yeah.
Time will fly by, I'd say. Time does go by really quickly. You'll one day, before you know it, be looking back on the days that are now ahead of you. Mm-hmm. Right? And so when I was a freshman, I arrived on campus and I had my ideas and my plans, and I thought, oh, this is going to take forever. And then wouldn't you know it, it's today. It is today. And one day, there may be a few tomorrows between now and the future when you're a junior or you're a senior or even about to graduate.
Yeah.
But in my mind, it's like climbing a mountaintop, right? Eventually, you're gonna get to the top, and then you gotta find your way to where you want to go next. To the freshmen, I'd say this: this is a saying I heard someone tell me in ROTC: be a sponge for information. Be a sponge and absorb as much as you can. Yes, sir.
As much as you can.
Woo, there you go.
It's windy today.
It is. It's lovely. I know our folks down at the Weather Center are having a marvelous day, probably tracking.
Yeah, actually, I have a friend over there right now.
Really? Yes, sir.
Yeah, Brandon.
Brandon, yes, sir. I've got a buddy up. He's an RA over here, and he works with me. I love what they do. They're so cool.
Last question. What's the plan for future?
Plans for future, sir? Yeah. Well, tying that into the sponge for information part, I'm doing my best right now to find the people who have the jobs that I'm thinking about maybe having.
Okay.
And that's also tying into the advice that I'd recommend all freshmen to follow is seek out a person on campus. There's always 1, 2, 3, 4 dozen people on campus who are where you want to be.
Yeah.
And even if there's just one, there's one that can help guide you and tell you what steps they took and what lessons they learned. And that's what I'm trying to do now, especially with the Marine Corps. Oh, a little windy. Especially with the Marine Corps, sir. My father, he was in the Marines many years ago, and so I always ask him for knowledge and information. Dad, what did you do when you went through this phase? Dad, what was this like?
It's like you're getting the blueprint from him.
Yes, sir.
To make your way easier.
We live in such a... I hate to admit this, but I'll be honest with you, sir.
Yeah.
I had not gone into the library to actually look for and find a book that was not just one of my college textbooks ever since I got here. And I only finally decided to go in there and ask the librarians, how do I do this? Where do I go?
After how many years?
After, so
years?
long. It for so long was like a situation where I didn't want to go ask. I didn't want to go in there and say, I don't know how to do it.
Yeah.
Never feel like you should be ashamed for not knowing something, because I went in there and they were the most wonderful people. They just said, hey, this is
like
how
they
you
always
do it.
say, you only get ashamed once. Once you know it, that's become part of you.
Yes,
you
sir.
go elsewhere, you could teach other people.
Mm-hmm.
You understand?
Yes, sir.
But imagine you don't take the bold step to go ask, you will never know it. And anything you don't, like they say, if you don't try, you lose already.
Exactly. Yes, sir.
So it's still a win-win.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
And I think it's a James Bond quote. I like to say it a lot. You only live twice. You only live twice, right? I like to, of course, that's a James Bond thing because he's always doing crazy stuff. But you live once in the things that you choose to do, right? In the actions that you take. And then you live a second time in how you remember that, and you look back in your life, and people look back in your life. That's your second life to me. And if you look back and you regret not doing something, it stays there. It sticks with you. But I got off on a tangent. My bad. I was going to say, I was in the library for the first time, and I stepped down into the stacks, I think they're called, where they have all the books.
Okay.
And all of those books, there's just so many. And I took a look down and I said, well, isn't that something? There were so many books that just went right down.
Yep.
I was just taken aback, and I could almost like feel the knowledge, you know?
Yeah.
Like, that sounds really weird.
Yeah,
but
it's energy.
It's heavy,
from
you
the
know?
book,
You can feel it. And I was walking by, and I walked down the row, and I don't know if it was fate or if it was just which one I thought looked the most like one I'd want to look at. So
Entrepreneur.
I saw the entrepreneur on there, and I've been reading through it the last day.
Wow. Do you feel like you missed something though?
I'm sorry, sir?
Do you feel like you missed something for not being able to have tried to use the library for so long?
I'd say, you know, I think. Do you mean like regret, or do you feel
kind of,
like
know,
I need something, like I'm searching for something?
No,
kind of?
do you feel like you missed something? Because freshman year, you don't use it, you don't ask people on how to search for the book in library. Second semester, sophomore year, junior year, it's like, you know.
Yeah, it's definitely not my proudest.
In football, when they call late. They might not, you know.
Yeah. Well, you know, I was just using those textbooks that I got for class, and I never wanted to. I never wanted to just go in there and check it out for some reason, and I guess I was just too distracted in my own little bubble. Or something like that. Hard to explain sometimes. You know, there's a lot of things that are hard to explain sometimes. But I feel pretty glad that I'm here on campus now, junior year, and I feel like I'm starting to kind of wake up a little bit.
Yeah.
And again, to the freshmen, you'll have that wake-up experience sooner or later.
Yeah.
And to me, it came when I decided to count the number of days until
that you have left.
I graduate. Yeah, exactly.
Oh man.
So I put on my mirror every morning. I scratch off one, and then I put a number.
How many days do you have left?
So right now, till my next.
That's very interesting.
So right now I'm tracking until I go to the summer training that will make me a Marine, called Officer Candidate School, and it's right now it is. Oh man, yeah, it's only 60 days away.
60 days.
So,
wow.
It's pretty wild to think about, you know.
Yeah.
And once I head off to that training, it'll be
you'll be all right, man.
It'll be another 45 days, and then I go back to see my family in Alabama.
You'll be all right, man. You got this, man.
Well, thank you, sir. I appreciate it.
I'm going to pray for you, man, brother.
I appreciate
Stay
that.
blessed and have a very wonderful day.
You too.